Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, up.
Calling all BluePrint Army.
Stop it.
It's time.
I shaved. I found my razor. How do you like that? I didn't shave all week. I looked horrible yesterday. When I looked at myself, I looked like a homeless person. Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is actually Thursday, but we're having our BluePrint Power Hour today because Rob Regish couldn't do anything on Tuesday. I'm sure he'll explain that later in the show. But he is here today, where we answer your questions about everything that you want to talk about. Nothing is off topic. Nutrition, training, drugs, sex, supplements, idiocy. Bring it on. Just post it here if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube. And obviously, you can always send emails into onair@superhumanradio.net, but those probably won't make it until next week's show. Before we get started, a couple announcements. If you have survived COVID, if you got it and you beat it, and maybe it was tough, maybe it wasn't, I want to hear from you because we're putting together a special episode of Muscle Saves Lives. This was actually inspired by Dr. Suzanne Turner, who's been a frequent guest on the show. And she got COVID, and she was like, I got it. It was gone. And people don't realize it's because of our lifestyle that we respond to COVID like this. Like, oh, it's no big thing. I thought I had a cold for 2 days and it went away. You know, the flip side is all the unhealthy, obese people out there who die from it. But we're on the other end of the spectrum. So if you are someone who is a superhuman, you follow the show, you follow the lifestyle, and you got COVID, please email me at onair@superhumanradio.net, and we will include you in one of the upcoming Muscle Saves Lives, the COVID series, which will air shortly. Also, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods. They just came out with a brand new tasty pastry, cake-style tasty pastry, chocolate cake. I had them last night. I have to tell you, I had two last night. I had one plain, and then I had one with Bailey's Irish cream poured all over it. Oh, my God. It was amazing. But don't do as I do. Do as I say. Don't drink alcohol, folks. It's bad for you. Anyway, the tasty pastry is the greatest iteration of a healthy snack to come down the pike in decades. You feel like you're eating cake with decadent filling in it and amazing flavors and coated in sugar when it has less than 1 gram of sugar. 20 grams of high-quality protein. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off, or listen during the commercial break for the secret word. Email the secret word to onair@superhumanradio.net. Include your mailing address, and we'll send you a free box. Doesn't get any better than that. Who else gives you free stuff besides Superhuman Radio? Nobody. All right, and now, without further delay, let me get my co-host on the show here and now play his music appropriately.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I want to send out a special thank you to the listeners who called and texted about my wife, I could not be on air Tuesday because she was in the hospital for 2-3 days. So we got her home late yesterday. She is back to normal, and I guess we can talk about that maybe sometime later in the show. But needless to say, when you have a loved one that's down and out, especially in the hospital, health, that old saying, health is everything. It really is, and you don't know it until you're there and it's in jeopardy.
Okay, and we're definitely going to be talking more about that with the BluePrint tip of the day. How are you doing? How's your training? Anything new? What's going on?
I am actually taking 1 week off break from training. I've done a few things just to stay proficient, kicking up into a handstand, some fingertip work. I'm getting very comprehensive blood work done tomorrow, which will be very interesting because I'm using a certain supplement and I want to see how it affects certain parts of those tests. But a lot of good information in the future with respect to that.
Okay. I have an announcement to make real quick. If you have tried CBD and go, what's the big deal? Like, I don't notice anything. Like, for years, I've used CBD on anything. Nothing. I would take very large doses, and then I'd be like, well, I think I feel something. Well, we have a new sponsor. Their ads aren't ready to run yet. But if you want to try CBD that you can actually tell is working, KnollCreekHemp.com. NoelCreekhemp.com. They have the new Delta 8 CBD. I haven't slept this good in decades. I take a 25 milligram gummy about an hour and a half before bedtime. I don't even get up in the middle of the night to pee. I wake up in the morning. You don't feel groggy. You don't feel hungover. Because a lot of people say, well, excuse me, I use cannabis. Yeah, but when you use cannabis, you wake up in the morning and you're still a little buzzed. You still feel groggy. I know that if I use cannabis, I can't go to the gym and train nearly as strong. I used Delta 8 CBD from KnollCreekHemp.com last night before bed. I went and trained back this morning. I actually drank alcohol yesterday too. I was strong as I always am. You guys have to check this out. If sleep is a big thing for you, if social anxiety is a big thing for you, if pain management is a big thing for you, Knoll Creek, NoelCreekhemp.com. Use the code SHR20 and save 20% off. These pineapple gummies they make. So there's a lot of slick stuff going on right now in the CBD world. They're making the gummies and they're just spraying the Delta 8 CBD on it, and it rubs off. And it does. It's not exactly 25 milligrams. It's less. It's more. These guys do it the right way. They mix it right into the gel that they make the gummies out of. Every single one has been batch tested to have 25 milligrams. You can get by taking a half. Elisa just takes half and she sleeps great. This stuff finally makes me believe in CBD. Before this, I thought it was all bullshit. I was like, CBD, what does it do? I'd rather smoke weed. I'll feel something. This stuff. And by the way, if you take 2, you'll feel high. And it's legal. It's legal.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm going to look into that.
Oh, dude, get a bag and try them. I guarantee you wake up the next morning and go, holy shit, I didn't even wake up last night once.
So Knoll Creek Hemp.
NoelCreekhemp.com. Use the code SHR20, save 20% off. I promise you, you will thank me. You'll say, I'm already getting emails from people because I've been mentioning it randomly on shows because their campaign is just about to start. And somebody on yesterday's show said, I got a pack and used it. Best night's sleep I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's move on to questions here. So the first question comes from Chris Daniels. My son is 15 and weighs 180 pounds. He hasn't been training long, maybe a year. What should I be having him do now versus, say, 10 years from now?
Yeah, so I've spoken before about this this kind of magic decade between the ages of 15 and 25, where you never quite have the same muscle building machinery and other things that I'll speak to like you will during this time, during these 10 years. And so to be clear, I'm not just talking about hormone levels, right? Because I've said before, and it's very true, you'll never have better levels of test, growth hormone, insulin sensitivity, IGF factors, things like that.
And insulin sensitivity, what you just said,
Yep.
that is the magic of youth that fades as we age.
Right. Which is why we put on fat as we age too, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons. But beyond those things, there are other important things in his favor. For example, his ability to eat and process food. Vast quantities of food will never be better. It's related to the insulin sensitivity. If he does get hurt, those injuries, they heal fast, like real fast. He likely is not going to have the same family, career, and other responsibilities that he will later in life, which means, in turn, his energy levels will be at their peak. He will be able, if he wishes to, he'll be able to devote 100% of himself to training. And after those years, in most cases, that is lost. So understanding all those things, it is important, I think, then to set a goal, right? So because we all work harder when we know there's a goal to achieve. So right now you're saying he's 180 pounds, which, depending upon his height, is not a bad jumping off point, right? Because when I was 15, I was 143 at about 6 feet tall. And so 180 is fantastic. Anyway, so let's set a long-term goal. For example, 225 muscular pounds, all right? In order to reach that figure, I still feel strongly that he will need to achieve something above that, then stay there for an additional, couple of years maybe. And the reason for that is when you do so, it helps the body achieve a certain set point, which is to say a new state of homeostasis. What is normal? What is a normal body weight for, right, that person? So let's say we want to do that by age 25. After age 25, the goal should be to maintain this 225 effortlessly. And by that, I mean not having to overfeed, not having to underfeed, not having to do drastic things to maintain that size. If he follows my suggestions on age-adjusted body weight work versus weight training, he's going to be using 15% at age 15 and 25% at age 25. A 10% increase over those years doesn't sound like a lot, but the reality is he's going to go from doing 1 or 2 or 3 body weight movements maybe at 15 to, if he has 4 weekly workouts at age 25, one of those 25% should be devoted to body weight. And by the way, the body weight, at least one of the body weight exercises that you want to keep in the mix, no matter what the age, is the pull-up, chin-up, whatever you want to call it. It is a great reality check for, hey, I just gained 20 pounds. Well, we're going to find out if it's 20 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds of fat, or something in between. And even without a, Tanita body weight scale and body comp measurements, you'll know pretty much by your chin-ups. Now, if your son can train consistently, nail himself to the eating, and remains injury-free, he'll get there. And the next decade is going to be something that is built upon the first, which is to say, if you've paid your dues in your teens and 20s, you are going to see something manifest in your 30s called muscle maturity. And in muscle maturity, the best way to describe it, in my opinion, is the muscles take on a very dense, separated look that no steroid or drug can seem to produce in these younger guys. It is simply a matter of dedicating let's say, a decade or more to heavy training, staying consistent from that point forward. So he might weigh exactly the same, 225, but the 225 that he achieves at age 35 is going to look miles better than the 225 he might achieve 10 years earlier. It's really something to see. So in summary, I'd be emphasizing getting as strong as possible, on the big compound movements, eating enough without too much fat gain, and living a very disciplined lifestyle, right? Which is going to assist in keeping him injury-free and keeping good hours and living clean. It's a lot easier said than done, but the rewards are monumental. So great question. I hope that helps.
Mike Andrews says, I know you like Tribulus and recommend it, so I found a product that has lots of protodiazine. I guess it's the active ingredient. It says 90% protodiazine. Is that good enough?
Yeah. Tribulus is, in fact, a worthwhile plant. All right, I've spoken to it before. I think if you're going to use a natural product with some benefits, Tribulus is a good pick. Notice what I didn't say in that overview. I didn't say it was a great testosterone booster, which unfortunately is how it's marketed. Mm-hmm. Now, the research will show an increase of anywhere from 12 to 30%, but understand 12 to 30% on a low figure to start, is not much.
Well, right. Even doubling. So I love when growth hormone supplements on TV are sold to women, and it says it will double your growth hormone levels. Well, if you're producing zero growth hormone, 2 times 0 isn't really very much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
I mean, it sounds impressive to people. Oh my God, it'll double my growth hormone levels, but you're not producing any growth hormone levels at 47.
Yeah. What is important, I think, is that some studies show a little bit of muscle gain and a little bit of fat loss, which gets more and more important, right, as you age. I've also seen a study that was done on boxers pointing to the fact that it increases anaerobic power, okay? And I think they measured that by punching and a few other things. But with respect to the product that he has in hand, I've seen Trib go from full spectrum stuff, Tribestin, in the late 80s, early 90s, to products being standardized for absurd levels of protodiazine, to companies that are just looking to maximize saponin potency, which is a similar and related field. After decades of using almost every brand under the sun, this is what I believe. First, the main active in Trib are furostenolic saponins. 2 types of saponins, sterostenolic and furostenolic. It's the latter that you want. Protodiazine, by the way, is just one of those furostenolic saponins. There are half a dozen others. Tribulosapins A and B, methylprotodiazine, gracilin, protogracilin. All these things need to be present, in my opinion, amongst others. And the only way you do that is extracting full spectrum. Now, to my point also about where you get it is important. Different source countries where it grows have different chemical compositions. This is not in doubt. It's been scientifically studied. For example, there's a 2008 study showing that Chinese, Vietnamese, and Indian Trib completely lack methylprotodiazine and tribulosapinins A and B. Furthermore, you cannot get any more than 60% furostenolic saponins, or more commonly, protodiazine. You just can't do it. You talk to the people in Bulgaria that have been doing it since day one. They said it's nonsense. So therefore, any claim of a product being more than 60%, for furostenolic saponins, or in this case, 90% protodiazine, it's nonsense. if you're interested in seeing what Good Crib can do for you, I have long recommended So Pharma's Tribestin as a good brand. And now there is a new product that just went up for sale in Europe. It has not hit the United States yet. It uses 2 different grades, I'll call it, of tribulus, plus a third plant, a different one, richer source of furosinolic saponins. It's a pretty darn potent looking product, almost as rich in those ingredients, active ingredients, as the old Syntrax Fuzu, for those of you that remember it. My subscribers, they've already been informed about what it is and how to use it. Some are using it now. So I hope to have more information soon to see how it compares, but it's a savvy product, and I myself want to use it. So it won't be long.
We have a question from a viewer that you and I both know. Let me get this up here real quick. It didn't come through, so I had to repost it. So it says it's from me, but it's not really from me. It's from Kirkland Warletti. He said, would either of you care to share your thoughts on Graston/instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization? Just your thoughts in general, or perhaps if there's a potential to accelerate the growth by allowing the fascia to expand more quickly over time. I have an opinion, but I'll let you go first.
Well, 2 different things here, right? One is the therapeutic side. The other is, will it increase levels of growth by stretching the fascia? My thoughts on the latter are this. The best way to do that is still the old-fashioned way, which is heavy weights into, stretch position for the various muscle groups. I don't think there's any other modality that's going to do it better, right? Because we know, for example, just stretching releases growth factors, and I don't know that this other stuff will.
Well, and stretching also increases androgen receptor density.
Yeah.
Think about this, right?
Yeah,
so
we forget about
androgen receptor. It fluctuates. It waxes and wanes, and if you don't have a receptor for the testosterone to dock in, you're not going to get the anabolic response. Well, stretching, and especially stretching under a load, like taking 2 dumbbells and allowing them to tear your pecs, that actually increases the biogenesis of new androgen receptors.
Yeah, and it also explains why movements like the pullover are great growth.
Yeah, a strong stretch, right?
Yeah. So the other part of this is the therapeutic side. Frankly, I don't know enough about the Graston method, what that is, or that instrument.
Here's what the method is, and it actually, in my opinion, it will backfire for growth. And here's why. So the instrument looks like the back of a butter knife, the handle of a butter knife. It's got a rounded edge on it. And if you have a soft tissue injury, a bursitis, a tendonitis, what they do is they dig in and they scrape that area over and over again. Now, most chiropractors do you more harm than good, because I had a guy do Grafton to me. I was black and blue and purple. He goes, oh yeah, that's what you want. No, that's not what you want. You don't want that. So here's the theory. Soft tissue is avascular. Overuse causes it to be re-injured, and then all of a sudden the body forgets about it. And so you have to kind of re-injure it and wake the body up and go, hey, you never finished fixing this. And that's where Graston comes in. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. You don't have to burst blood vessels, which a lot of people think you have to do. Oh, it's not working. I got to get in there deeper. It's got to, you got to be black and blue when I'm done. That's crazy. That's stupid. Because what's happening on the outside skin has nothing to do with what's happening in the soft tissue connecting your muscles to your bones.
Yeah, and it's a real thing. I mean, I can remember doing it for my elbow. I was coached by a physical therapist. Basically, got home, put some oil on it, took the back of a butter knife, and when you initially go over it, it feels like train tracks.
Right.
After you've done this for a while, it's much, much smoother. So it's a real thing. I'm just not so certain it's going to work.
But it won't help with growth. And here's why. Because if anything, it will make the fascia stop. It'll make the fascia thicker and stronger and keep it from stretching, because that's the goal of it. The goal is to take the fascia and soft tissue of the muscle, which is a continuous envelope around the muscle, to the insertion and origination points where it attaches to bone. It's all one thing, okay? Like a sausage casing. And what you want is that sausage casing to stretch so that the muscle inside can grow. By doing Graston, you're going to stop that from happening, because you're going to make the sausage casing stronger and thicker. So I don't think it's a great idea for growth at all. And if anything, it should only be done at the insertion and attachment points where you end up with these soft tissue injuries, and not on the muscle belly. You shouldn't be doing Graston on the muscle belly at all.
Yeah, I would concur.
All right, we have another comment here that I have to put up. So Bill Schultz says, can you please type in the Delta 8 company? And I already have it, so let me put it up here. Here we go. NoelCreekHemp.com, NoelCreekhemp.com. Use SHR20 for 20% off. And if you get it, Bill, you must message me and tell me if you notice anything. This is the first time CBD I'm like, oh man, I feel this. I feel calm. I feel ready to go to sleep. I feel relaxed. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
You're saying 2 of them?
No, I just take 125 milligram because I'm a big guy. I'm 230 pounds. Elisa takes a half, knocks her out. So yeah, I would start with half. I don't know how big you are, Bill. Maybe you and I are kind of in the same league. Start with half the first night and just see what that does. Take it an hour, at least an hour and a half after a meal, so there's not food in your stomach. Chew it up and swallow it, but also about an hour to an hour and a half before you plan on going to bed. Because if you take it with food, it could take up to 3 hours to hit you. You don't want it coming on in the middle of the night. That actually happened to me one night. So yeah, there you go. He's 240. Yeah, you probably get by with a whole one. Just take the whole thing. Just take the whole thing. That's all. But just an hour and a half after a meal, an hour and a half before bed. So Tommy D has an interesting question. Positive drug test, read Delta 8. I don't know. That's a good question. Scott Lawler says, well, Delta 8 isn't CBD, it's Delta 8 THC. So yeah, you'll notice some psychoactive effects, more so than CBD isolate, but it comes from hemp. And so it's legal in every state. So we could get into the whole it's THC thing. There's actually there's 3 different forms of THC that are being investigated for their medicinal purposes right now that have nothing to do with cannabis. They're all coming from hemp. They're all coming from CBD.
Is any of this related to the peptide I've seen, Delta 8?
No.
Deep sleep inducing peptide?
Here, look at this. Dean Paulson says, I've spent lots of dollars, a fortune on CBD and noticed nothing. Delta 8 was amazing. There you go. So we can sit here and we can talk about, well, it's not this and it's not that, but it works. It really, really works. Anxiety, sleep, pain improves it. And you notice it. You feel it working. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more questions. Stay tuned. You're watching the BluePrint Power Hour. I need to share with you all a revolutionary new wearable technology called HapBee. HapBee allows you to enjoy the effects of caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, melatonin, and muscle relaxants without actually ingesting anything. Yes, really. They figured out the unique magnetic signature of each of these molecules and recorded them. Just put the HapBee on, choose the signal you want, and it starts projecting the magnetic signature of that molecule that you choose, like coffee for feeling alert. Go to hapbee.com/SHR. That's HAPBEE.com/SHR to learn more and unlock an $80 discount exclusively for the Superhuman Radio listeners. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ads today. Every day, there's a new wellness trend. Eat that, do this, avoid those. How do you know where to start or who to trust? Inside Tracker helps you cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, your DNA, your lifestyle, and your fitness tracker to provide you with a science-backed, trackable action plan on how to live, age, and perform better. Personalized, one-size-fits-one recommendations to help you optimize you. For a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering Superhuman Radio listeners 25% off the entire store. Go to shrnetwork.biz/inside tracker, INSIDETRACKER, to save 25% off. Change begins on the inside. Cicada. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High quality, pasture raised, great tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose to tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Welcome back. We got a lot going on about Delta 8 on the side here. So this is really interesting. I got to put this up before we get to the next question. Scott Lawler says, yeah, it's legal. It's from CBD. You can actually make it at home if you want to. It's Delta 8 THC via the Lewis basis and acid. I don't know what that is. You can make it at home if you want to. Same reaction, slightly change, and you'll make Delta 9. I have no issues with people using THC, but people should just be clear. It is only derived from hemp. It isn't CBD, and will have psychoactive effects. And it does have psychoactive effects. And if you live in a state where weed isn't legal yet, this is you can get vape pens with Delta 8. I have a vape pen now with Delta 8. You just take one hit. I don't like it because it makes me cough. I don't like that glycerin that they put in the vape pens, but it hits you right away. And I took 2 of these Knoll Creek hemp gummies one night, and I told Elisa, I said, I'm loaded. I'm stoned right now. Like 2 of them got me stoned. So if you live in one of these puritanical states where they're like, oh, weed is bad, but drink all the booze you want, smoke all the cigarettes you want. Well, there's an alternative now. You can use Delta 8 CBD products. Delta 8 it says it can make you test positive on a drug test. A lab may be able to determine the difference, but they look for THC metabolites. So that is good to know. If you are someone who gets tested, you may want to stay away from this. But if you're like the rest of us, indulge, baby. KnollCreekHemp.com, SHR20 for 20% off. There you go. All right, let's go to let's see what the next question is. So the next question comes from, it looks like Rich Randolph. Is that one? Yeah. I saw something in my gym the other day, a piece of equipment. For the life of me, I can't tell what it is. So I've attached a picture. What is this thing, and why should I want to use it? What was it, Rob?
Well, it's something completely different. That to his credit, I guess.
Just for in the future, when people send you pictures of stuff, include them in the email to me, and we'll have it so we can put it up in the future.
Okay. So the piece of equipment in question looks to me like a seat inside of a cage with a large and wide foot plate, and there are also these kind of sleeves on the side that look like they can hold weights or more frequently bands. What I just described is known as a plyo swing, which was created by none other than Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell fame. And so for those of you unfamiliar, Louis holds many patents on many different exercise machines, of which this is one. It's also one of his most creative, I think. And specifically, it's a plyometric device, right, to build explosive power by converting potential energy into kinetic energy. And as Simmons explains it, it's a jumping device, not a leg press machine.
What is it? Is there a name for it? I want to look it up while you're talking about it.
Yeah, plyo swing.
Plyo swing, okay.
And so basically, the faster an athlete can push themselves off the platform, the more explosive power, right, they can generate in their legs. They can also elect to do this with strong exercise bands to increase velocity for the overspeed eccentrics that are going to happen when the bands pull you back. According to Louis, the positive training potential of that piece of equipment cannot be duplicated, as one will, as he puts it, invariably use more eccentric muscle tension and slow the yielding phase, causing a lessening effect on the reversal phase. If you think about it, it's brilliant. Here's why. Traditional plyometrics, they work, but almost always they involve jumping up and down from boxes of various heights.
Yeah, and ballistic movements are inherently more injurious.
Yes, right. So even in young athletes, that puts a lot of vertical compression on the spine, on the knees, on the hips, on the ankles. Your Achilles is also, it's questionable in my mind. The plyo swing trains the same movement, can give you the same explosive power with a fraction of the injury potential, right? Because you're not vertical, you're horizontal. So I'll make this prediction now, though. Almost nobody in his gym is going to use it, which is unfortunate because it's a great piece of machinery. And from what I can tell, those machines, so to speak, run a good $5,000 plus. So I would tell you this. Definitely use it and reap the benefits that the machine has to offer. Plyometrics and their benefits are way underutilized, I would say, by bodybuilders, and consequently most never get the benefits from it. So be the exception, not the rule. Use it.
I started training legs with a new device.
Okay.
I never used to use this leg press machine. Let's call it a leg press. Most leg press machines, your body stays stationary and your legs move. I started using this one where you sit in a seat and you're on a slide and you push and your body goes back and forth instead of the platform going back and forth. Have you ever seen these?
Yeah. In fact, our gym has one of those.
And what I discovered about it is that it more emulates a squat than a leg press because I hit my glutes with it. So what I do when I set up on it, excuse me, I have to belch. What I do when I set up on it is I come down as far as I can. I grab the thing and pull myself so that my legs are beyond parallel, assuming like if I was standing, right? And then when I push out, I focus on my glutes and I can feel my glutes working. You don't feel your glutes working in a leg press. In fact, you don't want to roll your pelvis in a leg press.
Right.
But if you have one of these machines and you've walked past it dozens of times, go try it. like most of the time they go up to about 400 pounds, and I'm only at like 270 pounds now, and it's a workout. It's a workout.
Yeah.
I vary my foot position. I get close. I get wide with it, up and down, and I move around. But as long as you're coming down to where your knee and your quad are a little bit beyond 90 degrees, you're going to feel it in your glutes. I love this machine now. I would have never used it. I've watched people use it. I thought that's garbage. Well, why would you? Something about the body moving and not the platform changes the entire exercise. That's all I can say.
Well, it gets back to what I've always said. When the body and the weight move through space simultaneously, those movements far outperform a movement where the weight and maybe your arms or legs only move through space. So central nervous system will be at a much higher activation level.
Scott Lawler asks, any thoughts on an inversion table for bad back holding disc and working to build up the muscles around it and fix issues in my SI joint? Absolutely. The greatest investment you can make. If you squat and deadlift regularly, or as you age, you're starting to notice sciatic nerve issues, is get yourself an inversion table. Work slowly on getting completely inverted, but work slowly. Just start at this and do that for a while and then down a little bit more. I hang upside down. I feel all the vertebrae in my back pop. It's the only reason why my L4, L5, S1 compressions haven't made me cripple like Ronnie Coleman. Seriously.
I'm smiling because the very first show I ever was on, I think it's show 721, Carl suggested the inversion table for an issue that I was having. And sure enough, I went to, I think it was Play It Again Sports. I got one, and I learned the hard way, don't overdo it. But when they're done correctly and done fairly frequently, they're gold. I mean, where else are you going to decompress your spine to that degree? And you're not using any external force to do it, so injury risk is far less likely.
One of the things you have to focus on if you're looking at that SI joint or the lumbar spine specifically is over time, get to the point where you can hang completely upside down and focus on relaxing your abs. Focus on feeling that lumbar spine stretch. What'll happen is your butt will pop out because there's a natural curvature at the bottom, and your butt will pop out. And then I like to call it milking the spine. I tilt my pelvis back and forth like I'm almost humping. I'm hanging from my feet, and I'm doing this little hump motion. And that actually goes like this, and that lumbar spine just spreads open and opens up. Over time, you can actually get those discs to fill back up. You can.
It's an incredible feel, too. When the vertebrae is stretched enough where it pops. I've been on there where I've had like 2 or 3 in a row, and it'll go, I'll feel boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And you feel yourself actually sliding down a little farther.
Getting longer. You feel your body getting longer. Yeah. And the best time to do it, so when you sleep, assuming you have a decent mattress, your lumbar spine, your spine relaxes, and the discs stretch out. That's why you're actually taller in the morning than in the evening after gravity has been pushing down on you all day long because you've been walking and sitting and all that sort of stuff. The best time to invert is right before bed. So decompress the spine and then get in bed and sleep with that decompressed spine.
Yeah.
That's magic. That will help your back a lot. Really, really well. Let's see. Let's see what other questions we have here. And feel free to post your questions while you're watching. So Steve Stewart says, do you remember Syntrax? They had some really great fat burners. Are any of them still around?
Yeah, I mean, I for sure remember Syntrax. I'm sure many people do, given they had some very unique products, including these fat burners, but also some very unique packaging. Holographic labels at one point. Mm-hmm. Instead of cotton or a silica pack in there, they put this kind of almost like tinfoil. And so you didn't forget them. They really were, memorable products. In this case, the fat burners that they made, there was one called adipokinetics and another one called lipokinetics. There were a couple others, but those two I can almost guarantee are the ones that everybody remembers. Adipokinetics was a savvy combination of norepinephrine, not straight ephedrine. It was 1R2S norepinephrine, a little smoother, a little less of a jolt, but ephedrine nonetheless. They combined that with some caffeine and I think a smidgen of yohimbe or alpha yohimbe. It was an incredibly effective, incredibly savvy product. I only saw that form of ephedrine in one other product in all those years. So lipokinetics, if I'm not mistaken, featured some of those, but also T2, an active thyroid hormone, and a cousin or little brother maybe of DNP, which was usnic acid, which it was, I don't know if it's still on the market, I doubt it, a mitochondrial uncoupler. And these were things you could certainly feel, you know. I had a friend who was on lipokinetics, and in the dead of winter up here in the Northeast, he's got the windows open because he's sweating bullets, in large part, I think, from that usnic acid. Unfortunately, some people got carried away with that product and ended up in liver failure and worse. I think one or two actually died, although I can't be certain. I know
somebody lost their liver. I remember that because there was a big lawsuit.
Yeah, and this was like 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
And at that time, Syntrax was started and run by a guy called Derek Cornelius. I think even that was a fake name. Yeah. But nonetheless, he had some great products. He had to my knowledge, the first fruit flavored whey proteins. He had an ecdy product. He had a methoxyisoflavone product. He had something called super glue, a unique form of glutamine, and some other odds and ends. But those were the major products. Today, Syntrax exists, I'm pretty sure by that name, but also SIO3. If I'm not mistaken, they use that for their website. Why, I don't know, but you'll find them under those two names. They have a fat burner today, but it's nothing to write home about. It's not like the old ones. I think they also have the so-called super glue, very, very bioavailable form of glutamine. Not that I think glutamine
I'm just going to say, how much more bioavailable can you make it? It literally passes through the lining of the stomach right into the bloodstream.
Yeah, and even assuming you make it 100% bioavailable, I don't see it doing much.
Much more.
You know, unless you're in an extreme diet or you're sick.
You're not eating any protein at all, you know.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So ironically, they don't market the nectar proteins, whey protein that they have now to bodybuilders or athletes, at least that I can tell. It's almost exclusively marketed towards the bariatric surgery folks that they sell to. Cornelius ultimately sold the company, if I'm not mistaken, a long time ago. For my money, it was never the same, right? He was an interesting character. He was into the bodybuilding side of things. He really knew his stuff in some, corners, so to speak. And he had a good mind for sourcing and formulating. That's really the bottom line. I don't see that today in their products. Not that they're bad products. Their proteins are fantastic. But it's not as innovative, let's say, as it once was. Most of the edgy fat burners, in fact, have come off the market, and that includes adipokinetics, lipokinetics, etc. But on the positive side, they're still in business, and have been for at least 20 years, which is something that not a lot of companies can say.
That's right.
Hopefully at some point in the future, we have new and innovative people and companies, coming in again. But until that time, I think it's just best to focus on different diet training strategies to maximize results. But that was Syntrax, and it's an interesting story for sure.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have questions from David Elliston, Dean Paulson, and Robert Thompson. And then after we get to those questions, we will cover the BluePrint tip of the day. Stay tuned for more with Coach Rob Regish. Go to CoachRobRegish.com. We'll be right back. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Every day, there's a new wellness trend. Eat that, do this, avoid those. How do you know where to start or who to trust? Inside Tracker helps you cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, your DNA, your lifestyle, and your fitness tracker to provide you with a science-backed, trackable action plan on how to live, age, and perform better. Personalized, one-size-fits-one recommendations to help you optimize you. For a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering Superhuman Radio listeners 25% off the entire store. Go to shrnetwork.biz/inside tracker, INSIDETRACKER, to save 25% off. Change begins on the inside.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Cicada. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. I need to share with you all a revolutionary new wearable technology called HapBee. HapBee allows you to enjoy the effects of caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, melatonin, and muscle relaxants without actually ingesting anything. Yes, really. They figured out the unique magnetic signature of each of these molecules and recorded them. Just put the HapBee on, choose the signal you want, and it starts projecting the magnetic signature of that molecule that you choose, like coffee for feeling alert. Go to hapbee.com/SHR. That's HAPBEE.com/SHR to learn more and unlock an $80 discount exclusively for the Superhuman Radio listeners.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. We got lots of questions piling up, so let's get to these real fast.
Yep.
Dean Paulson. Okay, let's see. Wait. Let me make sure I have. The first question is a pretty long one. It comes from David Elliston. He says, you both talk quite a bit about static holes. I've been researching isometric training lately. There are 2 types of isometrics. Yielding isometric, which are static holes, where the weight is held in a contracted position with a heavy weight. And 2, overcoming isometrics, which are isometric pushes, or pulls against an immovable object. Question: I'd like your opinion on which you think is better from the perspective of building strength and building muscle size.
He asked a very good question. Personally, I have experimented with both. The yielding isometrics are the ones that seem to give me the best results, and I'll quantify that as strength increases, and in some muscle groups that are difficult to build, like calves, size increases. So it's a great distinction, though, and credit to him for bringing that up.
And I've never liked what he's calling overcoming isometrics. You know, they have a plate that you stand on.
Yeah,
it's got a chain and a bar, and you kind of do a deadlift movement with it. But your body doesn't. I mean, you're pulling against it, but your muscles are not contracting or expanding. They're not moving. They're just stuck. And I've always questioned how much strength can you really build if the muscles don't move even a little bit, you know, like.
Well, the answer is you can build a lot of strength doing those. However, the issue is that most people do not have a measurement of how many pounds of force
right,
that they're pulling or pushing with.
Right.
Now, having said that, there is a machine, I think, on the market called the ISO chain. And it comes to us from a pretty informed guy, Paul Wade, who wrote Convict Conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard very mixed things about it. Like a lot of other things in the world of weight training, it's not a end to itself. You know, it might be part of the solution to what you're doing, but I don't see, strength training exclusively on it to be anything great.
Could you put a scale under each foot and say, okay, I'm 200 pounds. Each scale says 100 when I step on them. Now I pull, and each scale says 400, which means I've got 600 pounds total, or 300 pounds per foot pushing back down.
Even if that did work, you would quickly outgrow it. I will say this. Strength levels from workout to workout in both types of isometrics are rather dramatic. You know, you're watching the amount of force you can exert on the bar go up, up, up. The only problem is that when it comes time to go back to full range movements, 90% of the population is only going to get a carryover within about 5 degrees, forward and back, up and down, whatever you want to call it, to the isometric angle, so to speak, which is part of the reason why the original York barbell course in isometrics recommended 3 different positions for things like squats, bench presses, top, bottom, middle. Yeah.
There's part 2 of his question. Looks like it got cut off. It just says Drago. Sorry about that. Dean Paulson says, the military is experimenting with nicotine gum and performance with their SEALs. Any thoughts on gum as a pre-workout? Supposedly, with caffeine, it upregulates the effects of fat burning also. So I did a show with Anthony Roberts probably 5 years ago on the forgotten nootropic and pre-workout, which is nicotine. You go to any Walgreens and buy nicotine gum. I don't like it. Nicotine makes me feel clammy. So I'm not a big fan of nicotine. It makes me sweat, makes me feel clammy. And that's why I don't like it. But yeah, nicotine, I mean, we've been using nicotine for decades now as a pre-workout and as a nootropic. Absolutely.
Yeah. And a large part of that goes back to a study that was published, I would say 15 to 20 years ago now, in the journal Obesity. I remember that, showing that 1 milligram of nicotine plus 100 milligrams of caffeine yielded the same increase in resting metabolic rate that, let's say, ephedrine caffeine would. So, the potential is there. It's always been a question of balancing the potential benefits against the risks of addiction. And it's real hard not to get addicted, if you're wondering. to nicotine gum, and it's not cheap.
And Scott Lawler points out that Peter Attia did a short episode on it as a nootropic recently, and it's fantastic, but you just have to avoid addiction. Right. Yeah. And I'm just not crazy about it. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that wake me up, and it just makes me feel odd.
Yeah.
Okay. This one comes from Robert Thompson. Are BCAAs any good? I guess he hasn't been listening to any of the shows for the past 5 years. No,
the short
EAAs. You got to buy EAAs. BCAAs suck, and anybody who's still selling them, they don't. I'm sorry, no disrespect. They really don't understand the value of taking free-form amino acids. BCAAs are like calling the guys into work, but not giving them any cement or bricks to make a wall. EAAs is like calling the guys into work and then giving them the cement and the bricks to make the wall.
And that's exactly what I told, believe it or not, a lab. When we originally came up with Synthogen, we sent the formula to the lab, and the lab's like, why aren't you using BCAAs? Well, if you look at it, I am, right? Because leucine, isoleucine, and valine are 3, right, of the 9 essential amino acids. But as you correctly point out, BCAAs, they can stimulate protein synthesis all you want, but you're not going to complete the process without the rest of the essential aminos. So spend your money, long way of saying, spend your money on EAAs, not BCAAs.
And you know who has a great deal on EAAs? Bulksupplements.com. I just bought a kilo, and they taste like ass. They mix them in something. No, they taste horrible. They make your breath stink for hours. So mix it in some sort of juice or something that you can cover up some of the flavor with, because all free-form amino acids. So I'm going to gross people out now.
Except glycine.
All free-form amino acids come from where, Rob?
Come from, well, it depends where some come from hair, believe it or not, in China.
Well, okay. There's something that's more available than hair.
Feathers.
In China. Yes. All free-form amino acids, even the ones they use to make injectable peptides come from degrading and breaking down avian feathers. Pigeons, chickens, whatever. They're from feathers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's think about that. That's rather incredible. And like I alluded to a little bit earlier, you can get them cheaper elsewhere, but I don't know if you'd want to after you find out what they're deriving them from. But yeah, EAAs, they definitely take some flavoring. It's the reason, by the way, Synthogen comes in capsules instead of a powder. Part of the reason.
Last commercial break. We've done everything we need to do on questions. When we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order. Cicada. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. I need to share with you all a revolutionary new wearable technology called HapBee. HapBee allows you to enjoy the effects of caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, melatonin, and muscle relaxants without actually ingesting anything. Yes, really. They figured out the unique magnetic signature of each of these molecules and recorded them. Just put the HapBee on, choose the signal you want, and it starts projecting the magnetic signature of that molecule that you choose, like coffee for feeling alert. Go to hapbee.com/SHR. That's HAPBEE.com/SHR to learn more and unlock an $80 discount exclusively for the Superhuman Radio listeners.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
All right, Coach, what is the blueprint tip of the day?
Tip of the day is the things that you think about when everything is on the line. And so, as I alluded to at the top of the show, this past week, my wife was hospitalized for about 3 days. So here's what happened. Shortly after leaving for her morning walk on Monday, she returned home and said something was wrong, like really wrong. In fact, she was experiencing shooting pains in her abdomen, and she was doubled over and having these waves of nausea and then vomiting on top of all that. So I didn't need to see anything more. I took her right to the emergency room at our local hospital. At the time, I was thinking, burst appendix, something like that. Whatever it was very acute and not good. So they eventually got her a bed in the ER, at which point they said, we're going to run a CAT scan, right, to try to figure out what the problem was. And after that, later on, they did an ultrasound as well, and maybe a few other, diagnostic tests. In both instances, they take her away from you. They wheeled her off to get the test done, which is hard enough, right, seeing her go. But it's when she got back that was the hardest part, the waiting for what those tests showed. And so while that's going on, you think about a lot of things. You think how bad could this possibly be? If it's bad, can it be fixed? Do they know what to do? Are these doctors going to treat your wife with the same care and determination that you would? How good are they? All of these things run through your mind, right? And then you start to inventory yourself as a husband, because your wife's safety is your responsibility. Was she taking something I recommended that caused this? Was there something I missed that could have prevented it? Was she training too hard? Was she under, too much stress that you caused? And of course, the big all-encompassing question, is she going to be okay? Because if she isn't, how do you explain that, right, to her mother, who entrusted her well-being to you? It's a huge responsibility. Unfortunately, the test showed not one, but two areas of concern. And to make matters worse, they said that's going to require more tests. In the meantime, they were discussing the need for emergency surgery and whether or not to do that where she was, the hospital where she was, or in another hospital where her original doctors and surgeons were that had performed surgery in the area. You can just imagine at this point, it's not looking good, right? I mean, not one, but two things are wrong. They don't know what, and they think they're going to have to perform emergency surgery. Does not add up to a great night's sleep. But we chose the latter option, meaning we had her transferred to another hospital nearby. And so I bid her adieu, right, late Monday night so they could transport her by ambulance to the other hospital. I went home and, to wait some more, and this time alone. It's worse waiting alone, by the way. At least for me, it's a lot worse. When I got to see her on Tuesday, it was just in time for one of the doctors to come in and deliver the news, and it was good news. The mass that they found, one of the two problems, they didn't think was cancerous. So that news alone had us breathing a sigh of relief. But there were more, there was more, right? They were waiting on test results for her other issues. And that's more time to think. And hopefully it's good too news and we can get her the hell out of this hospital. Her second doctor arrived and then stated that her other problem was not as severe as they originally thought, and that he wouldn't be operating just yet. So they kept her another night for observation. I got her home on Wednesday. We still got a very careful and long road, I think, ahead of us. But for the moment, right, she's out of danger. She doesn't need to be in an ER bed, which is a great thing. Episodes like this, and this is the crux of today's tip of the day, episodes like this drive the point home that health really is everything. Everybody says that, but until you're in a position where you or someone you love is in jeopardy, you don't realize how true that really is. You want nothing more in the world than have your wife be okay, right? Because now, bear in mind, she's had skin cancer, which fortunately we've been able to keep at bay. She's also prone to these like internal growth cysts and so forth. And in fact, a year or so ago, they removed a very large, it was described to me as softball size one from, I think her spine and her cervix. So incredibly and fortunately, all of those have been benign. And I am convinced that that is no accident. And most of it goes back to her lifestyle. Okay. She exercises regularly. She eats a ketogenic diet. She watches her calories on top of that. She sleeps as well as possibly can be expected, I think. And she takes a ton of protective nutrients. Curcumin, EGCG, right? CISA, CBD, zinc, magnesium, fish oil, and the big one in my mind, which is ginger, a suggestion that came from Carl. And in fact, did away with her skin cancer like real quick.
Nobody would believe it. When you tell them like, hey, just put ginger powder in water on that skin cancer before they remove it and start cutting your body up. And then you go back to the dermatologist and they go, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I put ginger on it. Oh, that can't be. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Well, it was for real. So if you've got those concerns, see a dermatologist, but start taking ginger. Start taking it anyway. It's probably the best preventative out there at 1 gram a day, and it's cheap. Now, some people think all of that is too expensive, or worse, it's just a complete waste of money. But I will tell you this, it is the cheapest health insurance you're ever going to find. As I was sitting there waiting, I took no small amount of comfort in knowing she was using all of those and doing everything she could to nurture good health instead of, right, pathological conditions. It's something that you think about while you're waiting for the diagnosis and ultimately the prognosis from the doctors. So the upshot of this story is this: don't let anyone ever tell you what we do here matters, right?
It doesn't matter, right?
Right? Or I'm sorry, doesn't matter, or that it's some sort of exercise in vanity. It matters, all right, and it matters a hell of a lot. It can literally be the difference, tip the scales, in some cases, between life and death. Eventually, you or someone you love is going to be in this position. Sad to say, but it happens. It happens a lot. Something goes wrong and you don't know what. Something that the doctors can see, but they can't tell you yet what it is or how bad it is or if it's bad, that sort of thing. So you wait. And during that time, it finally hits you. Everything we do here matters. In fact, at that moment in time, at that precise moment, it is the only thing that matters. Some people, and listen, I used to work with them. They spend their entire lives building their careers and being millionaires and buying all the finest things. Some of them smoked, some of them drank. Many of them failed to manage stress or lead a healthy lifestyle because they thought it was just lip service. They didn't think that was really important. And as they sit there waiting for the news, they will be confronted by the fact that in some cases they abdicated their own responsibility to the only thing that matters at that point, which is their health. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't make that mistake. Stay true to what we value here and try and practice what myself, Carl, and the other guests on the show preach, because I assure you, those are the things that you think about when everything is on the line. So fortunately, it looks like it's turned out well.
On that note, if you didn't hear this at the beginning of the show, I'm going to repeat it. If you've had COVID and you're part of the Superhuman Nation, I want to hear from you. Was it bad? Was it easy to overcome? Did it take you down? Did you bounce back? Did you not even realize you had it until some doctor tested you and said you had it?
Right.
We're going to assemble a series of Muscle Saves Lives to focus exclusively on people's experience with COVID and getting over it when you live this lifestyle. Because I presume that people in this audience who have had COVID went, I didn't even know I had COVID. I thought I had a cold, or I was sick for a couple of days and I bounced back. Because the other side of the coin is the sick, obese population that's hospitalized and dies from it. So I have to believe that our audience has experienced COVID, but their experience is very different than the general population. So email me at onair@superhumanradio.net if you've had COVID and got past it. I want to hear from you. And you possibly will be the subject of an upcoming show. So there you go.
Cool.
That's it. This is a long weekend we have now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a great weekend too, right? I mean, we honor our veterans, and hopefully you have good weather. Last night we had thunderstorms from hell, which I thought were pretty cool. But hopefully you have sunshine and can enjoy it. And you know what? Do enjoy it with your loved ones, your family, because there are people in hospital beds that can't. And I got a very timely reminder of that this week. It's a gift being able to be healthy and out and about.
Yeah, it is. Scott Lawler looks like he had it. He said it. He wouldn't want to have had it without his mini pharmacy of nutraceuticals. Breathing was labored, even with bronchodilators, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's we have many effective weapons, right? Insofar as things that we can take, but the fundamentals should never confuse anyone. You should be training and training regularly. You should not be overtraining, which can whack immune function.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be eating correctly, which will boost glutathione, amongst other things, and improve immune function. And you need to sleep. Without sleep, it whacks immune function. So put those three big things together, then use preventative medicine on top of that. It is, quite honestly, it is the most that you can do to not get this virus. And it's what you're going to be thinking about if you or someone does get it.
And that's it for today. I think I'll be back on Monday or Tuesday. I forget which one it is, but we have a long weekend. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank Yvette for helping us be the free nation that we are.
Amen.
And we will be again. We will be again. And have a wonderful weekend. Wait, there's one more comment or question here. Let's get it up. I'll email you the details. I agree. The fundamentals are key. Okay. Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks to everybody who participates and makes this show so much fun. We'll see you next week. Stay strong. Stay superhuman.
Thank you.